5. Calvin on Law and Love. We have seen how Calvin at times underrated the law, as did Luther also, and that Calvin expressed a preference for the common law of nations as against the polity of Moses. With this, without realizing it, Calvin reopened the door to natural law and also to common grace, a concept he would not have recognized. The idea of common grace has become, however, the chief doctrine of modern neo-Calvinism, and the state is grounded on common grace as its sphere. Moreover, Calvin saw man as the subject of two kinds of government. An inner one, relating to eternal life, is the province of the Church. The other is civil government, which relates to civil justice and the regulation of the external conduct. For this outer world, virtually all the world, Calvin rejected biblical law. The world was thus, in effect, sundered from God, and at this point, given its own sovereignty and independence. But Calvin did not apply these ideas. Instead, he surpassed Luther and insisted that the state must enforce both tables of the law, that the state, in short, must be Christian, not natural or neutral, a possibility he denied. Civil government, he held, must enforce God's law. For Calvin, the rule of life which God has given us is His law. At the same time, Calvin strongly emphasized the duty of love. Men are so used to reviling Calvin for his belief in predestination that they fail to notice the very heavy emphasis he placed on loving and doing good to all men. Thus, Calvin wrote, "Whoever, therefore, is presented to you that needs your kind offices, you have no reason to refuse him your assistance. Say that he is a stranger, yet the Lord has impressed on him a character which ought to be familiar to you, for which reason he forbids you to despise your own flesh." Isaiah 58:3. Say that he is contemptible and worthless, but the Lord shows him to be one whom he has deigned to grace with his own image. Say that you are obliged to him for no services, but God has made him, as it were, his substitute, to whom you acknowledge yourself to be under obligations for numerous and important benefits. Say that he is unworthy of your making the smallest exertion on his account, but the image of God, by which he is recommended to you, deserves your surrender of yourself and all that you possess. If he not only has deserved no favour, but, on the contrary, has provoked you with injuries and insults, even this is no just reason why you should cease to embrace him with your affection and to perform to him the offices of love. Had he deserved, you will say, very different treatment from me. But what has the Lord deserved, who, when he commands you to forgive men all their offences against you, certainly intends that they should be charged to himself? This is the only way of attaining that which is not only difficult, but utterly repugnant to the nature of man, to love them who hate us. Matthew 5:44, to requite injuries with kindnesses, and to return blessings for curses. Luke 7:3-4. We should remember that we must not reflect on the wickedness of men, but contemplate the divine image in them, which, concealing and obliterating their faults, by its beauty and dignity allures us to embrace them in the arms of our love. This is virtually a doctrine of unconditional love. It has a vein of antinomianism in it. It is close to the position of modern liberals who believe in salvation by love. This undue and disproportionate emphasis on love appears at times in Calvin. Combined with the inconsistent attitude on law, it gave ground for the development of a liberalism out of Calvin. On the one hand, some English and American Puritans used one element of Calvinism to develop a concept of society grounded on God's sovereignty and biblical law. On the other hand, however hopelessly in error Fairchild's theology is, his point is well taken that Calvinism in England also led to sentimentalism and a naturalistic humanism.